Council meeting, extraordinary meeting of Council on the 6th of December 2023. If you'd like to stand, we'll say the karakia and the oath. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā tara tara ki tai, e hi aki ana te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hohu, tihei, mauri ora. Let us affirm today that we as councillors will work together to serve the citizens of Selwyn District, to always use our gifts of understanding, courage, common sense, wisdom and integrity in all our discussions, dealings and decisions so that we may solve problems effectively. May we always recognise each other's values and opinions, be fair-minded and ready to listen to each other's point of view. In our dealings with each other, let us always be open to the truth of others and ready to seek agreement, slow to take offence and always prepared to forgive. May we always work to enhance the well-being of Selwyn District and its communities. We will. Thank you. Today is an extraordinary meeting. There are just a few matters on the agenda. I'll note an apology from Megan Mackay. Can I have a mover for that? Thank you, Elizabeth. Seconded, Sophie. All those in favour say aye. Anyone against? Declare it carried. We have any conflicts of interest that people need to register that aren't already caught on the register. There's none. I'll just also note that Councillor Hassan isn't in the room for this, but was joining us online as earlier.
Sorry, Sam, and the Independent Chair of Risk and Audit, Annalisa Elstrup, is not able to join us either for the annual report, but I know that she's asked Phil to speak on her behalf.
Okay. Thank you. Well, that's the first item on the agenda today is the annual report. So the recommendation is that we accept the recommendation from the Audit and Risk Committee to adopt the annual report for the year ended 30th of June 2023. Sharon, are you going to lead the discussion on this, or I'll throw to Phil?
Actually going to throw it over to Phil as Deputy Chair.
Right, Phil, if you'd like to.
I'll just read Annalisa's email if that's right. I can answer some questions, and I'll the Audit and Risk Committee met. It's been a bit bigger. The Audit and Risk Committee met for a special purpose hui on Wednesday the 28th of November to go through the annual report for the 30th of June 2023. Management took the committee through the report section by section, answering questions as we went. As always, the report was a good opportunity to tell our story, and it was a great hui and the great mahi achieved within the year. This not only includes the financial position, but also the multiple performance measures against which we assess ourselves. When reviewing the annual report as governors, we are receiving it from the clarity of presentation to the reader. But also, I'll read that sentence again. When reviewing the annual report as governors, we are reviewing it for its clarity and presentation to the reader. It also gives us a year-end position that can support our forward-looking decision-making processes, such as our long-term plan. Audit New Zealand and management then discussed some of the complexities and delays in relation to the disclosure items, valuations, and consolidation of our subsidiary Chords accounts. Within a PX part of the hui, the committee had an auditor only time, when management was not in attendance, and I've cleared this with Annalise. She's happy that we talk about this. Audit New Zealand highlighted that there had been some challenges throughout the audit, but confirmed that things had improved. They also added some commentary around resource capacity within the finance team as something for management to consider. I wanted to thank management again for their hard work on getting the annual report into the final position. It is a significant and complex piece of work. I would also like to thank Julian and his team at Audit New Zealand for their efforts. The committee had made a resolution and a recommendation to council to adopt the 30 June 2023 annual report.
Thanks, Phil. And I'll just note that Julian has joined us online for the meeting as well. Not yet, is joining us. Phil, are there any other comments you'd like to make?
No. Just at the meeting, we talked a lot about the report, and I think they went through the piece by piece parts in a bit more detail than they would normally, and I appreciate that. The auditor talked a lot about the problems, some of the problems that they're having, and some of the solutions that they came up with. And I really appreciated Julian's humour and his ability to explain the really complexities of some of the audit stuff down into breaking it down to, at one point, a married couple, which is really useful. Yeah, all in all, no, nothing else to add.
Great, Julian. Welcome along to the meeting. Thank you for joining us online. We've just opened up some discussion on the acceptance of the annual report, and we've just heard from the chair and deputy chair about the meeting with the Audit and Risk Committee. So now, Alison, if there's anything that you'd like to add to this discussion, and then Julian, I'll invite you to share anything with the meeting you would after Alison.
Sure.
Thanks, Sam. I have nothing else to add to it, but other than asking if there was any further questions on the report for those that weren't in attendance at Audit and Risk, and noting that we still have some minor wordsmithing that we might be making within the report that was noted on the cover sheet that went to Audit and Risk the last time. We won't be changing numbers, it's just paraphrasing sentences.
Okay, great.
Sorry, I just want to add in that we've had an unmodified letter from our auditors as well, which we're very pleased about.
Thanks, Julian. Maybe I'll just throw it to you then, and if you could just talk us through some of the bits from your perspective, and thank you for the work in getting it complete for us this side of Christmas.
Well, hopefully that's seen as an early Christmas present. We have received the version 7, which is the basis for council's adoption for today. I have, in just the last several minutes, sent to council the audit report on the annual report, which is to be adopted in a few minutes. I assume council is familiar with the procedure for adopting the annual report, which has got to be adopted without audit report. So I think that's all I wanted to say, because all other things have been covered in the audit committee meeting held recently. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that, Julian. Sharon, just checking on what Julian's just said there. We're going to adopt the annual report, but we also need to receive the audit report.
Yes, the audit report has just arrived, and that will be circulated, and I'll ask Alison to circulate it to councillors now. It has literally arrived into our inbox. And we're happy with what is written in the auditor's report.
Okay.
So there's sorry, Mayor. There's only one matter which I alluded to when I last met the audit committee, and there was the updated paragraph for the Freewater's reform. There's one additional sentence which we provided to management to include in the notes to the accounts. That has been done, and our audit report mirrors that.
Cool. There was a couple of things that came up in the Audit and Risk Committee as well, which was around the timeliness of information ahead of meetings and wanting to ensure that the committee had enough time to consider what was in front of them. And I guess just receiving the stuff today is like we're in a meeting kind of feels like the same thing again, Sharon. So just that commentary back around how we manage our meeting timeframes with the information required to make good decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it would be fair to say that there was some conversations had around timelines and working in a different way. What I would say in terms of the letter coming through from Julian now, Julian, there would be nothing, there's nothing untoward in that letter. And in terms of we would be recommending to councillors to support the receipt of the letter, but very much acknowledging that yes, this has been a really quite tight time frame, but we wouldn't present and put something forward to you unless we were happy that you could sign it off with comfort.
Yeah, that's right, Sharon. The agreed changes have all been taken up. There was a slight hiccup in that the version we received, that's version 7, which you see, there were page numbers missing for half of the report, so we weren't able to reference the page numbers in our audit report, and for that reason we have been in touch with management most of this morning to just get it right, and that's been fixed now.
So just making sure that our recommendation is correct then, and what will be moved and seconded at some point is that the council adopts the annual report for the end of year 30th of June 2023 and receive the audit report for the same period.
Is the other way around, Mayor, they receive the audit report first and then adopt.
Yeah.
If we could just change what's in front of us so the councillors can see what the recommendation is. Cool, thank you. We can just make that an A and a B, and we know we're talking about the two bits.
Yep.
Excellent. You can see that, Julian, on your screen, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay,
I can see that. The Local Government Act is the only act that I know that requires the audit report to be received first.
Thank you.
Sorry, the LTP audit is the other one, but under the Act, that's how it works.
Great, thanks. Is there a mover and seconder for that recommendation?
I'm happy to move.
Phil and Malcolm, thank you. Any comments and questions and things about the audit report and our annual report? Grant.
2 questions of the Audit and Risk Committee, I suppose, is it says in the audit letter that they completed their audit work today. What were the issues they were working on that were still outstanding, I suppose, for us to sign off? Has management provided a representation letter to the Audit and Risk Committee from management of STC? Well, you've got an auditor's report from the auditors. Usually there's a management representation letter which comes with it to the governors, to us. Has that been received?
Thank you. And yes, that letter was signed off yesterday, and apologies. We can circulate
to this document.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely got it.
Yeah. Any other questions, Grant?
A bit like you, Sam, I'm a bit concerned. We're receiving the auditor's report, which we've had literally came in my inbox 30 seconds ago, and I'm required to vote and say, it's all right. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Which we're a victim of circumstances, but what am I to do as a governor with that?
What I could suggest, and that is partly why we had Julian here round the table as well, so that full council could ask any direct questions of the auditor. And in terms of further to those questions that were asked by Risk and Audit. So again, it's about having Julian here to be transparent, recognising that the timeframes around getting this report through to council have been challenging, and around the opportunity for Julian to put forward anything that he would have concerns about in terms of, again, being quite open and transparent with council.
Given that explanation, this is to Julian, then your report states that you completed work on the audit today. Is there anything you need to make me aware of as the governor which would concern me, and any reason why I shouldn't vote in favour of this report being adopted?
Well, I have presented to the Audit and Risk Committee and presented to the committee the main findings from the audit, and that's reporting against the main risks and issues that we advised council in our audit plan submitted earlier in the year. All of those matters have been dealt with and dealt with to our satisfaction. So between the Audit and Risk Committee meeting and today's meeting, we completed what we needed to complete, and that's clearing some procedural matters. That includes making sure that the representation letter is in the shape and form that we are happy to ask the council to sign and return to us. That has been done. We got that this morning. So we obviously checked through the latest audited draft annual report. We're satisfied that the changes have been taken up, albeit that there were some missing page numbers that I mentioned. So yeah, I have signed the audit report and I'm satisfied with the opinion that we have issued, which is an unmodified opinion with an emphasis on meta paragraph, which of course does not modify the report or opinion, but rather to draw readers' attention to the uncertainty about the Three Waters report. Does that help?
Thanks, Julian. And I'll just draw our attention to the first page of the report that we've just received. And the opinion from the auditor is that the financial statements fairly represent in all material respects the District Council and Group's financial position as at 30th of June 2023, and the results of the operations and cash flow for the year ended to that date, and that we comply with generally accepted accounting practices in New Zealand in accordance with the public benefit entity reporting standards. There's other things that sit within that letter that Julian has sent through, but that key stuff early on, if that wasn't there, that would be a problem for us. Julian, is there anything else within the letter that you'd like to highlight?
There are no other matters to highlight at all. Other than that, the audit report does refer to what we do to arrive at an opinion for council. The audit report is, the audit itself is not a guarantee that everything is correct. That's why we talk about being materially in compliance with the accounting standards and legislation.
Yeah, thank you. Shane.
Tēnā rā tātou katoa. Kolo matua e Sam te mwhakahaere. Sharon, kai mahi, kai kauni hira rohe wai kirikiri, tēnā koe. Appreciating Councillor Miller's opinion and a concern as a member of the Audit and Risk Committee, questions raised from yourself, Sam, or statements rather around timeliness and thoroughness, in my opinion, was certainly over the period of time have discussed thoroughly in audit and risk, and appreciate you being online as well, Julian, acknowledging that, and also acknowledging the chair and deputy chair's report, and also acknowledging the dynamicism or whatever the dynamics, the dynamic situation that and significant challenges that have occurred. I would just acknowledge the work that's gone into the adoption of this document today. It shows a strong position of council, but through some of the earlier conversations, I think highlighting challenges is also an important part of an annual report, and being quite transparent and open with that, seen as it is a document for our residents and community. Thank you for the letter, Julian. I've had a quick scan through it. My question around the emphasis of matter, the question would be, as I'm sure it will be answered, that work is underway to recognise and work through the emphasis of matter which has been raised. Note 32, page 147. And while I'll wait for an answer, I just wanted to also acknowledge some of the good parts of the annual report. And the first time I've seen the CEO and the mayor quartered all together, acknowledging those that have been here before and welcoming those that are new to the table, the governance table. Kiwi toilets, how great! That's come up a few times before. So there are some significant good stories in there, but a number of also challenges that we face going forward. So, Grant, I hope as a member of Audit and Risk, there's some assurance that moving forward and adopting this today, you have that from me.
Thanks, Shane. There been no other speakers? I'll put the motion that's there. All those in favour say aye. Anyone against? Declare it carried. Thank you. Thanks, Julian, for being online, and thanks to the staff that have done the work to get us through to that point. We'll move now on to the next item on the agenda, which is around the Central Plains Water Joint Working Group Committee and their decisions at their meeting to be approved by this council. Sharon.
How do you intend to deal? Do you believe you have a conflict?
I think it's cleaner if you do step away from the table, Grant.
I was actually going to invite Lydia, who is the chair of this committee, to speak to the report, if that's okay, Sam.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sharon. This is a refresh of the trust deed that has been needed for quite some time, and we've had numerous discussions at our joint working committee. A similar process is going on today at Christchurch City Council, noting that we both councils have to approve the amendments to this deed. The deed is 11 years old. Some of the provisions are out of date with modern practices, and it will allow for more efficient work streams and reduce some transaction costs incurred by the trust with meeting outdated administrative and governance requirements, which are likely to provide little, if any, benefit to stakeholders. So I guess just creating a clearer trust deed. You'll note there, if we look on page 206, is probably the easiest one. If you have questions around the amendments being made, they are fairly minor. So just a change of it's 17.5 of the old trust deed, changing the quarterly basis to every 6 months of reporting, and moving to more modern practice of the trustees, making the annual report available on their trust website for everyone to see rather than in newspapers, and removing the request of copies available in public libraries, as its online assistance can be made to gain access to that for people who do not have access to the internet. And 17.9 is quite out of date. So
thanks, Lydia. You're happy to move the changes as put forward here?
yes, I'm happy to move the
And
changes.
second, Shane, thank you. Is there any questions or comments on this? All those in favour say aye. Aye. Anyone against? Declare it carried. Thanks, Lydia.
Thank you.
The next item is Chief Executive report on local government New Zealand remits for, welcome back, Grant, to the table. For the special general meeting to be held next Monday. There's a particular focus of this meeting, which is around adopting positions based on the last 2 years worth of work that started off by the Future for Local Government panel, but has now morphed into a Future by Local Government LGNZ membership driven piece of work, where a number of the things that weren't supported at the AGM just been, there was a successful motion passed that LGNZ adopt a consensus position on finding a way forward around the Future by Local Government. That process meant that there were 2 meetings in person and the opportunity for every elected member in the country to participate online in the work that was leading us to a position. It's meant that some things have dropped off because they didn't receive sort of 75% support. So that meant the vote 16 move was kind of 50-50, so that hasn't made it into here. The STV voting was again about 50-50, so that hasn't made it through into here. So the things that were in that 50-50 space, or might have been 60-40, didn't feel that there was enough backing to make this happen. The matters that are contained in the Future by Local Government report are things that received at least a 75% threshold of the members present at the events to try and get us to this final piece. I'll just note that this document isn't intended as a piece of advocacy to any particular group, including to the government. Its language is reflective of the conversation that members within LGNZ have had to date, not reflective of a particular position we want to take somewhere else. And yesterday I met with the Minister for Local Government, Simeon Brown, and we talked about that, and that the things that local government raises needs to be cognizant of the environment that we're in. So there'll be things and decisions made if this passes at the special general meeting on Monday that will be right for some audiences and not right for other audiences. And so we'll take a specific approach to the advocacy. Some of the work that sits within here is also sits on local government to implement ourselves and doesn't require anyone external from local government to actually make it happen. The voting at the meeting is going to be taken in 5 parts and voting on each part individually, but one motion overall. So it'll be put as together, but voting separately, and there'll be an opportunity to speak to the motion as a collective. Those matters of the 5 that pass with a 51% majority will then form part of the position for local government moving forward. I think that covers some of the history on it, Sharon.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's exactly right. And it's just being that specific. It's about a vote either in favour or a vote against or abstain, and it's not here for wordsmithing or changing, because all councils in the last few days have been reviewing this report in time for the extraordinary meeting, which will be held on Monday.
So I'll move that we vote in favour of the work that's been done to date and support it across the 5 areas. Malcolm, you second that? Thank you. Any discussion on the proposal? Yeah, Elizabeth.
Oh, sorry, I just want to clarify. I'm not happy entirely with 5, and we're not here to wordsmith apparently, but we do that in the following meeting. So if I'm not happy with 5, then how can I advocate to vote for this to go through today?
Well, you have the option of either voting in favour, voting against, or abstaining. And you can, if you wish, you'll create some narrative that outlines your rationale behind perhaps which one you've gone for, if you wish to do so.
So the reason for not being able to change it is if every council decided they wanted to make a word change somewhere in the document, it would then have to come back to every council to re-ratify a new piece, and would end up in a cycle of I've never been able to land this. I'd also like to say thank you, Elizabeth, Sophie, Malcolm, present for the events up in Wellington, and it was great to have your leadership there. And Elizabeth, I think you led one of the big conversations, and thank you for doing that. Any other comments or questions on this? All those in favour say aye. Anyone against? Declare it carried. Thank you.
And that includes point A, the delegation.
Yes, so it's A, B and C. Great, that moves us to the end of the meeting. And we'll close with karakia, unahia, tapo, kia wātia, ai, kua wātia. Kia ora koutou, everyone. Thank you for your contributions today for this extraordinary meeting. Declare it closed.